Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Rostermania is well underway at this point and many massive rumours emerging over the last day or so, with Cloud9 rumoured to be forming an entirely budget team with some players leaked from that roster, but also NRG potentially changing their mind on their direction. Rumours are emerging they might decide to go down the FNS and SOM route after all, part ways with Crushies and Victor rather than going the other way around. Definitely implying as well there's some friction between those two parties. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Unfortunately, we have to start with a really sad story again, and it frustrates me because it's been a really difficult few months here in the Valorant scene after what happened with Twiston a few months ago, to now see Daveeys, player for Crew, unfortunately pass away. This was confirmed yesterday morning by Crew themselves, and we can see that the translation here in a second, as they describe it, is with deep sadness we have to inform you that after suffering a decompensation on Sunday, Daveeys has passed away. It's crazy stuff. I can't believe how much this has happened lately and just how much of a difficult few months it's been for the Valorant scene. It's so sad for for Daveeys, for his family and friends, and really just for the entire scene in general. So spectacular player, class teammates, wishing his friends and family the best, of course. It's difficult to say exactly what this refers to. They don't go into detail on exactly what's happened here. I know that this can, from a medical translation, this can be kind of translated more like a failure, like a cardiac failure, shall we say. And if that's the case, it's just so sad. And there were lots of tributes pouring in, as you would expect. I mean, from Valorant themselves, talking about how his legacy is going to be remembered, and just massive condolences, right? It's just, I don't know what to say anymore. It feels like this is happening too often at the moment. So, massively sad for Daveeys and everyone around him. What a great player as well, right? I mean, just looking at some of his numbers here all time over his career. And it's leaving, no doubt, a big loss in the community and also for the franchise itself. So, I want to move on to some more, light topics, really, of the day if we possibly can, and talk Rostermania, because there is a lot going down right now in all the respective regions. So, T1 are looking to add ticks to their Valorant roster potentially, so that's a change going on there. There's also this that was spotted from KOI. Now, Safe, we think, is on Liquid. Well, he was on Liquid, but that might not be the case any longer. It's interesting if they're getting rid of Safe, because I would say he was one of their better players, and it's possible they're just going to build around Jampy and Nats, and maybe they keep Redgar. I don't know if Soulcast is going to stay. But I'd be surprised if they get rid of Safe, but it seems like that's what's happening, because he was spotted potentially trialing yesterday with KOI, as we can see in this screenshot right here. So that's an interesting one to look at as well. There's also this big news that supposedly this might be what Zeta Division are cooking up here lately, which has been a bit controversial. They're selling their entire team. Well, they can't sell their spots because it's a partnership league, but they're putting their entire team of players up for sale and are now... Okay, it's possible some members stay, but it's very possible they will look to do an entire rebuild with Zeta, so we'll get into that more so in just a second. There's also this from Team Heretics. So they have a Lithuanian player called Boo on their roster, and now they have reached an agreement, it seems, with Mini Boo to join their team instead. Now he is, I'm almost certain, the younger brother of Boo. So you've got Boo, you've got Mini Boo, and they're both going to play for the same team, it seems. So he apparently had two other players or two other teams interested in him, but has gone with Heretics. So that's pretty crazy, to be honest. And so Team Heretics, Mini Boo and Boo. Heat is no longer with MIBR, actually, so there's been some further things happening. Team Secret are parting ways with their head coach. We saw the T1 thing. We saw yesterday Sadak confirming that he has had at least discussions with NRG. But let's now get into the North American drama that's currently ongoing. We'll do Cloud9, and then we're going to do NRG. So the rumor a few days ago was that Cloud9 have basically run out of money, which, every organization has run out of money pretty much, but they won't be able to pay more than a minimum, if at all. So the rumor was that they were given, effectively all the players on that team were said, hey, we can only offer you the minimum. Do you want to stay? And most of the players said, no, we're going to seek better options elsewhere, and fair enough. Jake apparently has said yes, or just they wanted to keep Jake and they didn't want to keep anyone else. We don't really know. So MCE, the coach, is going to stay. Jake is going to stay. This according to JamesVF_VLR, but as he describes, the team has trialed Nismo and former player for Blid Esports, ManBearPig. Now, ManBearPig, what a fantastic name. Now, in case you guys didn't know, ManBearPig is not actually an entirely new... I wish he was, you know. I wish this was a player that we'd never heard of before. ManBearPig is on the up and coming. But he is just an alternate account, and we'll see that in a second. But the Nismo point here is very interesting. We can see here MCE, Jake, and then Nismo in a lobby together. Nismo, of course, formerly of M80 for the most recent season, and a very good and promising player at that. So Nismo to Cloud9 seems like a realistic possibility. The other player, though, of course, ManBearPig. Now, people, as you would expect here, did the research into this to try and figure out, is this ManBearPig guy is he come out of nowhere and he's actually a really good player and maybe it's just MCE masterful scouting, or is it somebody on an alternate account? And it turns out that from the research and people looking into his games here on Tracker, seeing who he was playing with and going into their chats and trying to find out some information, it turns out this is basically Screwface, right? So e.g. Screwface, who's been on the bench for Evil Geniuses. We've also heard rumors that e.g. will be making some changes to that situation. Their starting roster, you'd imagine, will stay the same, but I can't imagine that their kind of sub-bench is going to stay the same. So potentially Screwface, and he actually says here, e.g. Meathead. So I think he went by Meathead, and now he goes by ManBearPig as his alternate account. Basically, it's Screwface. So that's what we think. He's a good player, and quite possibly he's going to be going to Cloud9, or at least those are the trials that are currently ongoing. And even MCE himself tweets out, ManBearPig is an alt, or ManBearPig is the next up-and-comer. Difficult for VLR to figure out exactly what's going on. Now, what I thought was really interesting of the day was the follow-up to this. We actually got another of the same meme template here from Flynn, who says NRG are struggling to choose between Crashes and Victor or FNS and SOM. Now, the NRG situation has been, frankly, quite fascinating after the season concluded, with FNS telling the team that he doesn't want to be there anymore with that roster, and SOM in agreement. They are taking a break. Well, they're stepping away and they're becoming inactive. And the other day on Flynn's spreadsheet, he had FNS and SOM down as inactive, and inactive players on the roster. Chet, even their coach, says he didn't know before Champs that FNS was intending to step away. So therefore, it seems like that NRG were going to build around Crashes and Victor, bring in a new IGL, round out the team somehow, and go from there with, you know, players like Narrate, or obviously players like Sadak could be an option as well, as we discussed yesterday. And Sadak confirmed that he's had conversations. Doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere, but conversations have been had. But now, seems like NRG are considering taking the FNS and SOM route. So FNS has been quite clear about this. He wants to be able to form his own team, which also implies heavily he doesn't want to play with Crashes and Victor anymore. You know, it's kind of crazy how that might have broken down, but I'm not massively surprised. I mean, we believe that there was some friction going on at Optic even before they broke apart, and I'm not surprised if there's some friction between FNS, Crashes, and Victor, because, like, at some point, despite the fact that a trio or a quartet might have worked really well for some time, when the meta changes, time moves on, players get better, get worse, the team chemistry gets better, gets worse, other teams get better, get worse. It doesn't always work for the long term. So I'm not surprised that FNS is potentially looking to break up with Crashes and Victor, but it seems like he's almost given NRG an ultimatum to be like, hey, me and SOM want to form a team that we want to form around us. That doesn't include Crashes and Victor, so either you choose us and we stay at NRG and you let me build the roster I want to build, Chet, or we go elsewhere and either we become streamers full-time or we go to another organization, maybe 100 Thieves or something, that is willing to commit to that vision. So now NRG have to make the call. Do we go for Crashes and Victor and bring in a new IGL, or is it actually better to say, all right, fair enough, FNS, you win. We're going to drop Crashes and Victor, keep FNS and SOM, and run it back with whatever team FNS wants to build. So, you know, playing a bit of a leverage game here. And this is all the stuff that's happening around the world. We see with Zeta Division, lots of rumors there that they're going to be completely blowing up their team, as we discussed. But this one, we zoom in a little bit on the Americas especially. We see the rumors around Cloud9. Now, 100 Thieves, I think this is just because there's no rumors. They have to do something, surely. But it's this NRG thing that's interesting because, you know, SOM and FNS on the previous previous iteration of this spreadsheet went from being inactive to now they are possible. And, you know, so it really seems pretty 50-50 right now between what NRG will decide to do, whether they're going to say FNS and SOM come back, or whether they're going to say that, because now Victor and Crashies are looking like probability lowered, right, is the way that he describes this. Probability heightened, you see. So the way that Flynn has this done is that when the text is in green or when the text is in orange, then the probability of that player has lowered or raised since the last time that he made a spreadsheet. And he reckons that as of the last 24 hours, the chances of Victor and Crashies staying has gone down, the chances of SOM and FNS staying has gone up. So that's the battle right now at NRG for effectively control of that team. And if FNS was to stay, then there's no need for John QT, there's no need for Sadak. And therefore, what would FNS and SOM do? What team do they want to form? We don't really know. But also, does Sadak therefore stay on Loud? Does John QT maybe go to Sentinels? Or is Valin going to be the man there? But then if Valin goes to the Guard and they form a new team under, let's say, G2, then maybe John QT does go to Sentinels, or maybe even Sadak goes to Sentinels. So, I mean, look, all sorts of things could happen at this point, but NRG are probably the most interesting team, I would say, at the moment, apart from maybe even Cloud9, that have lots of things on the table, but frankly, they probably just don't have the money to spend this year to actually form anything that's going to be particularly spectacular. So, that's pretty much all the roster updates of the day. Very much enjoyed to hear your perspective on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I will see you next time.
Por parte de la hippie, Doja mientras tanto desde atrás y lo que pega, Maka pone el 1 en contra de 5, complicadísimo para Daveeys que tiene que ser el héroe, busca 1, encuentra 2, Daveeys con la tercera, puede encontrar la cuarta, pero póngase de acuerdo para picarla, Daveeys, 4K, cuenta con la definitiva, y cómo vas a desactivar esto, Daveeys, Santiago Ruiz poniendo las cartas sobre la mesa.